Hi everyone, we're here in Montreal and we're going to be heading out soon, but we have our friend here, Ray, and we just want to learn more about him and his views, and hopefully it connects with you. Thanks for joining us today, Ray.
Good morning.
So how long have you been in Montreal?
Grew up here my whole life. Was born and raised here.
Yeah. Oh, you were born in Montreal?
Exactly.
What about your parents?
They're from India, actually.
India?
Yeah.
Are they Christians or?
They're Catholic, yeah.
Catholic, eh? Okay, wonderful. And growing up in Canada, have you seen any changes since childhood and on that you're seeing?
Well, I mean, changes as in
The society, the culture, the demographics.
I guess they've changed as I guess more multicultural is what you mean. Yeah,
So you're seeing that, yeah.
definitely.
What are the big impacts you're seeing in Canadian society right now?
Well, some impacts I'm seeing are the I guess I would definitely want to see more economic prosperity, and more jobs available for lower income individuals.
What about the mass migration in the country? Do you think that's beneficial?
I definitely have seen a lot of there was I guess people at the Lacole border. I've noticed some of these people were at also the YMCA downtown. So it seems like they've, instead of maybe curbing on illegal immigration, they've kind of been processing it in the city. I'm not too sure about, how, it's definitely there, but I don't support illegal immigration.
What about the mass migration? Right now it's total streams into Canada. Get your facts, everyone. And we published the numbers on this. We have a blog on our NCA website. Check out the blog on this. It's over 950,000 this year. All streams into Canada. So I'm asking you, is that something you support? Do you think it's
Personally,
good to flood this country with migrants?
Well, I think that there should be an identity to a nation like Canada, as there should be an identity as a nation like India.
Yeah.
I'd be concerned if ethnic Indians decreased by 85% in India. As I think my parents came to Canada to be part of, the thing is, in this capitalist society, a lot of immigrants come here, for the economic side of things, to make more money is what they'll tell you. In a lot of cases, it's not really a valid excuse. I think if you want to come to a country, your motive should be more than just economic, and it seems selfish at the same time. I do think that there should be a national identity to Canada. As a Canadian, I would, obviously want to fight for that majority interest as opposed to the minority or foreign interests. And this is what this whole thing is about: is fighting foreign interests, globalists. And I definitely think the mass migration ties into, American foreign policy, Israeli foreign policy in the Middle East, which is the reason why there's a lot of, wars and lots of refugees that come from these wars, these illegal wars. The war on terror, which is the longest running, most expensive war in history, is actually the cause of a lot of this migration. And weak politicians that are not strong on illegal immigration is part of that as well.
But understand that.
But I definitely do believe that number you mentioned, which you made aware of me, was most of these politicians don't go into the back sets. They're telling you 50,000 and it's almost 1 million a year. I think that should definitely be decreased.
Yeah, it's definitely having an impact on the economy, the environment, society. Even David Suzuki has come out, environmentalist has come out and said the migration to Canada is disgusting, quote. So check that video out. But in terms of the economy, what we see going on is the taxation, extreme taxation on the Canadian people. And we've seen since 1961, total taxation has increased over 2,000% on Canadian families.
Yeah,
so how can you get ahead when you're getting pushed down with taxes? Wages are stagnant, right? They're pouring in all these mainstream politicians, you name it. They all want to bring all these temporary foreign workers in. We all know they're undercutting Canadian workers.
Exactly.
For lower wages. That's what's going on. That's part of the 950,000. Harper was no different. None of these mainstream career politicians are any different. They're going to flood them in. So this is what's going on. So you want prosperity. You want to be able to raise your family.
Yeah, my thoughts on that is there needs to be a reform and an honest overview of those flaws. So
it's terrible, isn't it?
It is.
And then we look at, we're going to be posting a video summary on the Bank of Canada, but this is tied into the economic problems plaguing the common Canadian. And the Bank of Canada is all about inflation, because when they shifted the public lending rate, these central banks are printing our money. Get your mind around this. Since 1974, there's been over 800% increase in the money supply. The more money, the more inflation. Inflation means your cost of living is higher. So when you're at the grocery store, you're paying a lot more for your basic necessities. And we've seen since 1961 that the amount of money Canadians spend on taxes have increased by over 10%, while the amount of money that they spend on basic necessities has dropped by almost 20%. So how's that progress?
Yeah.
These are basic economic realities facing the Canadian people. Now we're getting flooded with migrants. And we met a lady from Belgium yesterday, and she was reluctant to share, but the stuff going on in Europe is where we're headed. In Brussels, Antwerp, other parts of Europe. And she came up to us and said, I support you, because she's living it. Get the facts, right?
Exactly. 100%, I think.
You got to get the facts. But people are, all this racism,
distraction.
all the division, you're Islamophobic, you're this, you're white nationalist. That's all nonsense.
Pseudo-issue.
Push it aside. It's just dividing. It's covering up the realities. This country is completely mismanaged. And our supporters know this. And they're very smart, our supporters. They know the Bank of Canada. The currency is at the heart of what's going on. I wouldn't even call it the heart. It's kind of a darkness of what's going on. Because that currency impacts everything. These central banks control your wealth. That's why China, India are buying up gold. Because it's a real commodity that will back their currency. Canada's currency is backed by other, what's called fiat currencies. Right?
Exactly.
It has no stability. If they crash, we crash. All our wealth will be gone. So this is what's going on. We're going to produce this video, at least get it out. It's something we've done earlier, but we're going to put out this short segment on it. But these are major issues. If you're interested in prosperity, it has to start with the bank. 64 billion alone a year. Plus. 64 billion a year plus a year out nationally to banks in debt service payments without touching the principal. The federal government, 32 billion plus now in debt service payments to banks without touching the principal. 32 billion a year, gone. So the pie is getting smaller. We have all these migrants coming in. They have needs. They have healthcare needs. They have social services needs. So the pie gets smaller. That's why there's not enough money for veterans, seniors. Our students are struggling. This is it. It's easy to fix.
Exactly.
But the people running this country are globalist sellouts.
They don't want it to be fixed.
Because they're benefiting.
Exactly.
There's certain interests in Canada that are benefiting. This is why it's going on. But the core common people, the silent majority, are not. And they're paying the price. It's pretty sickening what's going on. Canadians need to wake up in large numbers.
Yeah.
They have to. This is going to get a lot worse. Just look at Europe. It's going to get a lot worse. Share your comments today. We want to hear from you. Maybe you don't agree with us. Share your facts. And so we can all grow together. Do you have anything else to share?
You know, I think more younger people should get involved. You know, look at the facts. It's on these websites. You know, no one's hiding it. You have to do your research, and you know, the numbers I've heard today from Mr. Garvey, they make sense. And these are subjects that you know, the controlled media and these controlled, you know, career politicians are not telling you. So I really believe it's time for a new government.
NCA government.
NCA government, exactly.
Put it there, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. And we are racist, eh? Make this on the front page of every newspaper, right? Mm-hmm. What a bunch of nonsense. Do not buy into the garbage that's out there. This is all about all Canadians. Don't get divided. And focus on the issues that matter. That's what we say. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Please share your comments, and we look forward to reading them.